Welcome to the Mind Spark, bringing you the latest news from around the world. The news arrived like a northern blizzard. Canada has closed the Alaska Highway. This vital land route connects Alaska to the continental United States. The decision, announced in late May 2025, sent shockwaves across both nations. It marks a new low in US-Canada relations. The world's longest undefended border now has a major choke point. Many are asking how this could happen. Initial reactions were of disbelief and anger. Alaskans, in particular, felt immediately isolated. Trucks carrying essential supplies were halted. Families planning summer drives faced canceled trips. Businesses worried about their survival. The highway is more than just pavement. It is a lifeline. The implications are vast and deeply concerning. This essay will explore this unfolding crisis. The current crisis did not emerge from a vacuum. It has roots in earlier trade disputes. Former President Donald Trump's America First policy often targeted close allies. Canada was no exception. During his presidency, tariffs were placed on Canadian steel and aluminum. These actions created significant friction. While some issues were resolved, tensions remained. Now, with Mr. Trump again influential in U.S. trade policy, new tariffs have appeared. These new measures, announced in early 2025, reignited the trade war with renewed force. The latest round of U.S. tariffs targeted key Canadian exports. Canadian softwood lumber faced steep duties. Dairy products, a long-standing point of contention, were also hit. Aluminum, once again, found itself on the list. The Trump administration cited familiar reasons. They claimed unfair Canadian subsidies. They spoke of protecting American jobs. They argued for a rebalancing of trade. These justifications were met with skepticism in Canada. Many saw them as politically motivated. They viewed them as harmful to both economies. The Canadian government, led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, immediately condemned the new tariffs. Officials in Ottawa called them unwarranted and unacceptable. They pointed to existing trade agreements. They argued the tariffs violated international trade rules. Attempts were made to negotiate a solution. However, these early discussions proved fruitless. Faced with damaging U.S. tariffs, Canada considered its options. Simply imposing retaliatory tariffs, as done in the past, felt inadequate. The U.S. economy is much larger. Canadian counter-tariffs might not have the desired impact. There was a growing sentiment that a stronger message was needed. Ottawa sought a response that would be felt directly in the United States. The decision had to be bold. It had to be unexpected. The Alaska Highway, a critical U.S. artery passing through Canada, became the focus of this new strategy. The decision to close the highway was not taken lightly. It involved intense debate within the Canadian government. Prime Minister Trudeau and his cabinet weighed the risks. They considered the potential economic fallout for Canada. They thought about the impact on international relations. Ultimately, the government felt it had to act decisively. The perceived need to defend Canadian interests and sovereignty prevailed. The official announcement came as a shock. Canada stated it was temporarily closing the Alaska Highway to U.S. through traffic. The government cited the ongoing trade dispute. The message was clear. Canada would not passively accept economic pressure. It was willing to use significant leverage. The immediate economic impact on Alaska was severe. Supply chains, already strained, faced major disruptions. Goods that normally traveled by road now had to be rerouted. This meant using slower and more expensive sea or air freight. Prices for everyday items in Alaska began to rise. Shelves in some stores started to empty. The crucial summer tourism season was thrown into chaos. Many American tourists drive the scenic highway to Alaska. Their cancellations hit Alaskan businesses hard, from hotels to tour operators. Canadian businesses in Yukon and northern British Columbia also felt the pain. These regions rely heavily on traffic along the Alaska Highway. Motels, gas stations, and restaurants saw a sudden drop in customers. Canadian truckers who ferry goods to and from Alaska were also affected. While the Canadian government's action was aimed at the U.S., local Canadian economies suffered collateral damage. This created some internal criticism. However, many Canadians understood the government's difficult position. They hoped for a quick resolution to the dispute. The broader economic consequences for the United States extended beyond Alaska. Certain industries in the lower 48 states rely on Alaskan resources, a historic lifeline. The Alaska Highway's legacy. The Alaska Highway, also known as the Alcan Highway, has a rich history. Built during World War II, it was a monumental feat of engineering. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, the U.S. feared a Japanese invasion of Alaska. A secure land route to the territory became a strategic imperative. In 1942, thousands of U.S. Army engineers and civilian workers began the task. They worked with Canadian support, battling harsh terrain and extreme weather. The highway was completed in a remarkable 8 months. It stretched over 1,500 miles, connecting previously isolated communities. It became an economic backbone, facilitating the movement of people and resources. The highway played a crucial role in the development of the Yukon Territory and Alaska. Today, it draws adventurers from around the world to experience its stunning scenery. Crossing the line? International law and Canada's stand. The legality of Canada's decision to close the Alaska Highway is a complex issue. Several agreements and understandings have governed the highway since its construction. The original 1942 agreement between the U.S. and Canada outlined terms for its building and use. Subsequent diplomatic notes and practices have further shaped its status. A key question is whether Canada's current actions violate these established norms or specific treaty obligations. The U.S. certainly believes so. They argue for a right of innocent passage. Canada, however, presents its own legal justifications. The Canadian government emphasizes its sovereignty over its territory. It argues that all nations have the right to control access across their borders. Ottawa may claim the closure is a legitimate countermeasure. This would be in response to U.S. actions deemed harmful to Canadian interests. The concept of retorsion in international law allows states to take unfriendly but legal actions. Canada might also invoke national interest or public order exceptions, though this is less clear. The United States has strongly protested Canada's move. Global tremors beyond North American borders. The dispute between Canada and the United States has not gone unnoticed by the international community. Other countries are watching with concern. The U.S. and Canada are seen as pillars of the Western democratic world. Their close partnership has long been a model. This open conflict sends a troubling signal. It raises questions about the stability of alliances in an already turbulent global landscape. Allies worry about the implications for collective security and economic cooperation. Adversaries might see it as a sign of Western weakness or disunity. The closure of the Alaska Highway could also set a dangerous precedent. If a country can restrict access to critical infrastructure in a trade dispute, others might be tempted to do the same. Many nations have transit agreements or rely on neighbors for access to vital routes. The weaponization of infrastructure is a worrying prospect. It could lead to increased instability in various regions. International norms around freedom of transit could be eroded. This would make the world a more unpredictable and potentially more conflict-prone place. Voices from the divide. Personal impacts of the closure. The closure of the Alaska Highway is not just an abstract issue. It has profound personal impacts. Consider Sarah, a truck driver from Fairbanks. For years, she has hauled essential goods. "This is my livelihood," she says. "My truck payments are due. My family depends on my income. I don't know how we'll manage." Her story is echoed by many in the Alaskan trucking industry. Mending fences, the path to resolution and cooperation. The current situation is unsustainable. Both Canada and the United States are suffering negative consequences. The economic costs are mounting. The damage to the bilateral relationship is significant. An urgent need for de-escalation is clear to most observers. Continuing down this path of confrontation serves no one's long-term interests. The first step must be a mutual agreement to step back from the brink. Leaders on both sides need to prioritize finding a way out of this impasse. The rhetoric needs to cool down. Diplomatic channels must be fully utilized. Quiet, backroom negotiations are often more effective than public posturing. Experienced diplomats from both countries need to engage in serious talks. Perhaps a neutral third-party mediator could help facilitate discussions. Rebuilding trust will be a crucial element. This requires a genuine willingness to listen to the other side's concerns. It means acknowledging the validity of some grievances, even if not all. The focus must shift from winning the dispute to finding a mutually acceptable solution. A potential path forward involves a phased approach. The United States could agree to suspend or roll back the recent tariffs. Political reactions. Pause ones. As the situation continues to unfold, political leaders on both sides of the border have not remained silent. In the United States, the reaction has been mixed. Some politicians have rallied behind the aggressive stance, arguing that it is necessary to protect American interests. They claim that the tariffs are a justified response to perceived unfair trade practices by Canada. However, others warn that prolonged conflict will only harm American businesses and consumers. In Canada, the political landscape is equally divided. The Canadian government has condemned the tariffs as unjust and harmful. They argue that Canada has always been a reliable partner and that the current dispute threatens decades of cooperation. Opposition parties, however, criticize the government for not doing enough to de-escalate the situation, calling for more proactive diplomatic measures. Internationally, the reactions are varied. Some countries express concern over the escalating tensions between two major North American allies, fearing it could destabilize global markets. Others see it as an opportunity to strengthen their own trade ties with either Canada or the United States. Amidst this political turmoil, one thing is clear: the stakes are high and the world is watching closely. The decisions made in the coming days and weeks will have far-reaching consequences, not just for North America, but for the global economic landscape. Economic implications. Pause ones. As the political dust continues to settle, the economic ramifications of the Alaska highway closure and the ensuing tariff war are becoming increasingly apparent. Economists warn that the ripple effects could be felt far beyond the immediate region. The transportation sector is one of the most visibly impacted. With the highway closed, the cost and time required to move goods between the continental United States and Alaska have surged. Companies reliant on this route are scrambling for alternatives, driving up logistics costs and straining supply chains. Small businesses, particularly those in remote areas, are feeling the pinch. Many are reporting significant drops in revenue due to the increased difficulty in obtaining supplies. Some, especially those in the tourism and hospitality industries, are on the brink of closure, unable to cope with the sudden economic strain. Agricultural sectors are also not spared. Farmers who export their goods across the border are facing delays and additional tariffs, making their products less competitive in international markets. This has led to an oversupply in local markets, driving prices down and harming farmers' livelihoods. On a broader scale, financial markets are reacting to the uncertainty. Stock indices in both countries have shown increased volatility, with investors wary of the long-term implications of the trade conflict. The currency exchange rates between the US dollar and the Canadian dollar have also fluctuated, reflecting the growing economic tension. Yet, amidst the turmoil, some industries are finding opportunities. Certain tech companies and e-commerce platforms are seeing increased demand as consumers and businesses seek digital solutions to mitigate the disruption. In conclusion, while the political battle rages on, the real-world economic impacts are already being felt, and they serve as a stark reminder of the interconnected nature of our modern economies. The coming months will be crucial in determining whether the current strategies will lead to a sustainable resolution or further economic hardship. As the economic implications continue to unfold, the public's reaction has been swift and varied. Citizens on both sides of the border are voicing their concerns, frustrations, and hopes for a swift resolution. Social media platforms are ablaze with discussions, debates, and even grassroots movements calling for action. In towns and cities directly affected by the highway closure, community meetings have become a common sight. Local leaders and residents gather to discuss the challenges they face and to brainstorm potential solutions. The sense of community solidarity is palpable, but so too is the anxiety about the future. Protests have also erupted in several regions, with citizens demanding that their governments take more decisive action to resolve the crisis. These demonstrations reflect a growing impatience and a desire for transparency and accountability from political leaders. However, not all public opinion is negative. Some view this situation as an opportunity for countries to reconsider their trade strategies and to invest in more sustainable and resilient infrastructure. There is a growing call for innovation and adaptation, with people suggesting new ways to overcome the logistical challenges posed by the highway closure. Public opinion polls indicate a divided sentiment. While many are critical of the current handling of the situation, there is also a significant portion of the population that remains hopeful and believes in the possibility of a positive outcome. In the end, the voices of the people are a crucial element in shaping the future course of action. Their collective opinion serves as a powerful reminder to policymakers of the real human impact behind political and economic decisions. As the situation develops, the role of public opinion will undoubtedly continue to influence the path toward resolution and cooperation. As the world watches the unfolding events, the future of the Alaska Highway remains a topic of intense speculation and hope. Experts from various fields are coming together to envision a path forward that not only resolves the current crisis, but also sets the stage for a more resilient and interconnected future. Innovative solutions are being proposed, ranging from advanced logistical technologies to alternative trade routes that could reduce dependency on a single highway. Engineers and planners are brainstorming ways to enhance the infrastructure's durability, ensuring that future disruptions are minimized. International cooperation is also on the horizon. Neighboring countries are engaging in dialogues to strengthen their partnerships and to develop contingency plans that can withstand geopolitical tensions. These discussions are paving the way for more robust and flexible trade networks. Economic analysts predict that, despite the current challenges, there is potential for growth and development. By investing in modern infrastructure and fostering international collaboration, the situation could become a catalyst for positive change, driving economic resilience and sustainability. Public sentiment remains a driving force behind these future prospects. The collective desire for stability, innovation, and cooperation is pushing policymakers to think beyond immediate solutions and to focus on long-term strategies that benefit all parties involved. As the world looks to the future, there is a sense of cautious optimism. The Alaska Highway's closure has highlighted vulnerabilities, but it has also opened doors to new opportunities. With determination and collaboration, the path ahead could lead to a stronger, more connected global community.